All right, guys, what's going on? For the people that are here live, the people that are watching this on the replay, I want to welcome you guys to our webinar tonight for how to have the best Easter ever. And I'm going to go ahead and put that on the screen. Everybody can see that. Give me a thumbs up if you see that. Yes. All right, I got to go up to the top one. Here we go. How to make this the best Easter that you guys have ever had. That's my desire to help you guys. We're learning as well. I'm sure as we share at the end, there's going to probably be some people that will share some stuff. We'll all get some things from today. But listen, Easter, y'all, you know, it is the Super Bowl of Sundays for churches. I mean, it's our biggest day of the year. Arguably, I say, especially in urban context, is bigger than Christmas. At least in our context in Tampa, it is way bigger than Christmas. It's double, more than double what Christmas is. So we literally put a lot of eggs into our Easter basket and really put a lot of energy into maximizing that day. And so I just want to share for a little bit tonight what has helped us the last couple years, every year break records of attendance, of the amount of salvations, of the amount of people getting plugged in, and it's been awesome. And so as we're learning every year and we're getting better and better at it, we're looking at this Easter being the biggest day in our church history, April 20th of 2025. So get ready. We're about 6 weeks away. If you're watching this live, if you're watching it later, you're less than 6 weeks even. So, but hopefully there's going to be some stuff on here tonight that you'll be able to, you got enough time to implement some of these things, what can work in your context, what you have the capacity for, but want to just share some of this stuff that we've been doing, what we've been learning. Let me just say this from the jump. This is going to be about strategies and systems, but the number one strategy and system we have, y'all, is prayer. We got our prayer team that is already praying for Easter 2025. Our prayer ministry director, Keita, they're already praying for Easter. Her and the team, they meet a couple of times during the week on Zoom in the mornings. We just had our monthly prayer gathering this past Saturday. Heard there was like about 65, 70 people there on a Saturday morning at 9 a.m. to pray. So you know the church is going to start seeing revival when you get a bunch of people together to pray. So you want to cover all these things that we're talking about today in prayer and get your church ready. Say, man, every day start praying for what God is going to do on Easter, for the people He's going to draw to our church, for the life change, that their hearts will be ready, and that all the elements that are going to happen that day, from the people that are singing worship to who's preaching to who's serving that day, that all the elements that God is just gonna, they're gonna be anointed, that God's gonna breathe on it. And so prayer is the biggest system that makes all these other systems work. And so then start thinking about, what are your service pieces going to look like? You already need to start thinking about that right now. What is your theme going to be for Easter? What is your scripture going to be on? What are the worship songs that you're going to have that are going to flow with that? What are some maybe the creative pieces? What's the flow of your service going to look like? You don't want your service to be too long, especially because you got a lot of new people there. You might actually, every Easter, my message is a little shorter than normal, so I can give time and space between services because we have so many people there. So we make our services intentionally a little shorter than we normally do. Who's going to do the offering and announcements that day? What's that going to look like? Usually we do video announcements to keep it quick that day. We don't do video announcements every Sunday, but on a big day like Easter, we do, because it's controlled, it's edited. We know it's going to be 2 minutes and 53 seconds, and it's boom, it's rolling. What's the response to the message that you're looking for? And we're going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later, but you want to start thinking through all of those things. So our theme for 2025 at Crossover is community. And so I'm going to be doing a message that's shaped around Jesus came and created a new community, his church, his body, and we're called to be a part of it. If you have a relationship with Jesus, you're called to be part of a local church, a family. And so what we're going to do this year is, when everybody walks into Easter service, they're actually going to get a puzzle piece. We're going to get custom puzzle pieces made, and printed on the front of that is going to be something that's tied in with the message. I'm still crafting it and praying about exactly what that's going to be. On the back side of that puzzle piece is going to be some information about the church. So even if they're there for the first time, they keep that puzzle piece like it's a reminder. It's got the church logo on it, the website. it's a reminder of like, man. And so the whole deal, the puzzle piece is like, man, you're a piece of this community, and this community is not going to be complete without you, and you're not going to be complete your life unless you're plugged into all these other pieces. And so that's kind of the theme that I don't have it 100% flushed out yet, but that's part of it. There's going to be a spoken word piece that I'm going to do. The worship team has several dance pieces that are going to be mixed in as well. And so I'll talk a little bit more about what the response to the message is going to look like in a little bit. But you should already hopefully be praying through and thinking about what your service is going to look like that day. It's the biggest Sunday of the year. You don't want to wait till the week before or a few weeks before. I mean, we could do that on a regular Sunday. Hopefully, you plan your series out at least. But Easter is big, and so you want to put some extra attention and prayer and thought and creativity into it. So start thinking through all those pieces. And then you want to say, okay, what are the special elements going to be that we're going to do on Easter this year? And it can vary from year to year. Pastor Andy talked a little bit earlier. He's like, yeah, we got this photo station that we do once a month. Man, free family photos is always a W on Easter, because people will, bring their whole family. They'll dress up maybe a little bit anyways, even if they still got their J's on. And so what we do is we have several photographers at our church that are part of our social media team, and we get them to take photos that day. We set up at least 3 photo stations, sometimes 4. And so we have a line and we take photos, and then we give them a card and say, hey, you can see your photos and download them from our Facebook page, Crossover 813. We will be posting these by Wednesday this week. So we give them that card. So we're telling them, hey, here's where you could do it. And hey, follow us on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and all that. So the card has that social media information, and it tells them where they can get their photo from. And that's been a win. So we do that every year. You might want to have free food. That varies. It depends what you want to do. You might want to have bounce houses for the kids, something special. You might want to have some kind of special kids program. You might do an egg hunt. We've done that before. We haven't done that in the last couple of years. I think the egg hunts sometimes are a little played out, and then sometimes you get people like, oh, is it about Jesus or is it about eggs? And so we haven't done the egg thing for a while, but we always do some special stuff for the kids, and they have a ball, and we set records of more and more kids coming every single year. So you got to pray through that, think through that. What does your culture look like? What is your capacity? But there's some people in your church that you could probably tap on the shoulder that normally don't serve, but for Easter. And then, by the way, that's something that we do every year. We do a sign up about 3-4 weeks before Easter. We're like, hey, Easter's coming. It's going to be a big day. We're asking you guys, we're going to have the most visitors we have all year. We're asking you guys to jump in and help serve on a team just for one service that day. We got multiple services. You can come to one and serve in one. And you get to pick which one you serve in and pick which ministry you want to be a part of. And then we have a list on there of the ministries that need extra help that day. Whether it's First Impressions, our ushers, whether it's our parking team or our kids ministry, or, we don't put everything on there. We put a few things that we know that we really need help with, that we're not going to have to do a ton of training for. And so, think through those things to get people tapped in, and you tap them on the shoulder. They might serve on Easter, and then they might start serving on a regular basis. So that's the special elements. Then you got to think about promotion, y'all. And there's a lot you can't do one thing anymore. Can't just do one thing. You used to be able to put an ad in the newspaper and it's a wrap. Everybody sees it, everybody comes. But our world has so many different things going on right now, fighting for people's attention. So you got to do multiple things. So think through flyers, physical flyers. They still work. You might do a quarter-page flyer or maybe like a business card size. And then, of course, social media content. And that's free. Like, you could do free content where you're talking about Easter, you're inviting people to Easter. And then also, it is a good time to do some ads. Let me talk about this for a minute. If you're going to do an ad, and we have a Facebook coach, shout out to my man, Chris Abbott. He spoke at Flavor Fest 2 years ago, and he's coached our church with social media stuff. And so what we do that works really well, still has been working well for a couple of years now, do a selfie video where I'm walking and talking, and it's me and my wife. And statistically, he's done a lot of studies on this. Chris has, with a lot of churches that have done this. If it's just the pastor, it could do okay. But when you add the wife, a lot more ladies engage. And they're like, oh, who's that? Who's that? Oh, I like her hair. Oh, what's she gonna say? Right? And so my wife is in the video and we walk and talk and we go back and forth our parts, and it's just a video that's maybe 45 seconds to 60 seconds at the most. And we talk about Easter and we invite people and we talk about what they can expect. And then our social media director puts a little music behind it, puts the captions on it, and we launch that as an ad. And we'll usually spend anywhere from $300 to $500, and we'll run that for about 10 to 14 days before Easter. And we get a bunch of people that come because they saw that ad. There's people that are part of our church today that have come from a social media ad that we've done. So it works, and you don't have to spend a ton of money. Spend a few $100 on it, and you'll see some people that'll come. Um, Maybe make some banners, especially if you have a lot of cars that drive by. Maybe put some flags up. Maybe get some yard signs. Maybe have some people put some yard signs up in their neighborhood as well. In service texts. Let me talk about that for a minute. A simple, easy W that's absolutely free. A couple Sundays before Easter, the pastor can do this. Somebody doing announcements can do it. You might even want to share a testimony of someone that brought somebody to church and say, "See, look at how this person's life was transformed because he invited this person that he met at the gym." So tell you what, everybody pull your phones out right now. We're going to invite somebody together. Up on the screens, you're going to go ahead and see a short little script of what you can text to somebody and just pick at least one person. Maybe you're going to pick two or three people and just type this in and send it to them. And basically you would say like, hey, Kurt, I'm in church right now, and the pastor told me to text somebody, the first person I thought about, and I was thinking about you, and I wanted to invite you to our Easter service. It's going to be amazing. It's coming up in 2 weeks. We have three services, two services, whatever to choose from. Man, would love for you to come with me and kind of hang out and sit with me and my family. Let me know if you can come. Leave a question mark at the end. Let me know if you can come. So you're not just like sending it to them and then just nothing, but let me know if you can come. So it leaves that question mark hanging, that a lot of people, that creates a psychological loop where they respond like, oh, Kurt texted me, yeah, I'll come on Easter, I'm not going anywhere. And so, man, we've had a bunch of people that have come to church just because they got a text message during a church service. And we'll do that a couple weeks, usually at least one or two times we'll do before Easter, that we've done several times, and that works great. And again, it's free, and it's engaging your people to help them begin to create an invite culture where they're inviting. You're giving them flyers, you're telling them to do the text, they're seeing stuff on social media, you're asking them to share it. So you want to give people tools and resources and instruction on how to create an invite culture, because that's going to be your strongest thing, is people inviting other people. So my man Jay is on the call right here, and Jay from our church, and Tony, and a couple other people that work out at Crunch Gym, they were inviting this guy named Rob to come. And Rob, we love Rob, but Rob, he got dropping f bombs left and right. He's a rough dude, rough around the edges, got a big beard, sneakerhead, into cars, all that stuff. They kept inviting him to church, and he came on Easter last year, and it rocked him. He had never seen church like ours, and God began to do something in his life, and he kept coming. And I'm gonna talk about how we kept them coming in a minute. That's part of this webinar as well, to hook people to come back. But now, like, Rob is faithfully coming to church. Rob is plugging in. Rob's bringing new people with him every week. There's another guy named Richard who looks like he could be my younger cousin, and he's been coming to church now. He's been there 4 or 5 Sundays in a row, and he came because Rob invited him. And Rob has a whole bunch of friends that aren't Christians, and he's all excited about this new church and this new faith that he's plugging in with. He's inviting everybody. And so, like, man, Easter is like, again, it's such a great opportunity when you can give people opportunities and create that invite culture, and people begin to invite and they give a card, or they send a text message, or they send a social media, they share a post, and the Holy Spirit begins to work. But you got to give people tools. You got to give them some tools and some instruction, and show them how to tap their neighbor and invite them and talk to them. Here's another creative one that we've done several years. We're trying to bring it back this year. Car tags. I left that till last because, like, what does that mean? When I say tag, I mean graffiti tag. And so we literally will buy some markers that are like car dealership markers. You can get them online. They're a little more expensive. I think they're like 15, $20 for a marker, but we'll get several of them and they're like paint markers. And you can, write on a window and it doesn't come off if it rains. Now, I mean, if you scrub it, it comes off. It's not permanent, but it looks good as well. And so we recruit several artists from our church, people that have good handwriting and they're artistic, and we recruit them to tag people's cars during church. So this is how we do it. We tag a couple cars, we put them right by the front doors where everybody's walking in, and so they see on. So what does it say on there? It says you're invited to Easter at Crossover Church. Sunday, April 20th, crossoverchurch.org. So everything is the same. It's the same text, but it's simple, it's clear. Easter at Crossover Church, you're invited. There's the website. And so now you've got free advertisement as all these cars are driving around town. And so people walk in the church doors, they see these two cars that are tagged up. Someone there is with a table and saying, hey, you want us to tag your car during service? And so we'll have like dozens of people each service sign up. And then during service, like, they'll sign up and write their car model and their license plate number. We'll have a couple people, we usually get some teenagers to spray the windows with some Windex and clean them real good, so the window is clean, it looks good. And then the person will tag it. And they'll go from car to car to car, and they'll do dozens and dozens of cars every service. And we usually do that about 2 Sundays before Easter. We're actually going to do it the last Sunday of March, the first Sunday of April this year. So it'll be like 2 and 3 weeks before Easter. So those cars will be riding around the city for 2 or 3 weeks, and it's free advertising. And I've had all kinds of people that are like, yo, man, I just saw somebody from your church drive by. I had people take pictures and send them to me like, yo, your people are out here, dog. I'm seeing these tags all over town. And again, it's something that's free besides the markers. You buy those markers, and we use some of the markers like a couple years in a row because the ink, it works well. So find creative ways. We're going to open up the floor at the end. And if you guys got some other things you want to share of some things that you've done for promo as well, I'm sure we got some creative ideas. But think outside of the box. And again, everything doesn't have to cost a bunch of money. It's just being creative and putting tools in your people's hands. And then, of course, guys, a lot of y'all on here already know about Love Our City. Love Our City is our big outreach week that we do. We used to do it the week before Easter when we were crazy and nuts. Now we do it much more strategically the week before Palm Sunday. So then the week right before Easter, we're resting. We're getting ready for the big day versus we would serve like all week and then we get to Easter and be like, oh gosh, we'd be running on adrenaline fumes. But we do Love Our City from Wednesday through Saturday. So this year it'll be the 9th through the 12th of April. We'll be doing a bunch of community service projects around the community. And a lot of you guys already know what some of that looks like, from, praying for people at stoplights, giving them a bottle of water, to, paying for people's laundry, delivering groceries, teacher appreciation lunches for teachers, firefighters, police officers, clinic workers, pay it forward events at Starbucks. We're paying for everybody's coffee. We're at the gas station paying for everybody's gas. There's so many different creative projects that we do as we touch literally thousands and thousands of people that week. And they're all getting a flyer inviting them to the Love Our City party, which is on Easter. And so, again, if people are invited to a church service, statistics show the biggest Sunday that they'll actually show up will be on Easter. People will show up on Easter. And so, Love Our City. Y'all know about it. Y'all already know about it. We'll talk about it at the end if you got any questions. Let's talk logistics. Some of us on here are super creative, and so we don't think about logistics, but logistics are important. You need to check your supplies, y'all. Like, don't run out of toilet paper on Easter, because you're going to have double, triple the amount of people you normally have. And if you didn't check, well, who ordered the toilet paper? I don't know. We ran out of toilet paper. Oh my gosh, we ran out of paper towels. There's no paper towels in the bathroom. Everybody coming out with hands. Like, you want to think about all those little things. You want to make sure the bathrooms are clean, the church is clean. Obviously, you want to try to add some extra seats in your auditorium, pack that thing out as much as you can without it being uncomfortable. But we'll add extra seats. We can add up to, we get our auditorium, so we got 800 chairs in there. My man Jay, he's got to put a couple more tags on the seats. I'm gonna talk about that in a second. to add some seats. Think about what is your parking going to look like? What's the flow? Do you have a parking team? Maybe you don't have a parking team, but you need to recruit some people to help out with it on Easter to have the flow. Our church, we're actually going to rent a golf cart this year, one of those long golf carts with all the seats in it, because we're going to be using a parking lot down the block because we know we're going to run out of parking. So we have 100 spaces that we have permission to use right down the block by the corner of Nebraska and Fowler. And it's a little bit of a walk. It's not that far, but we're going to have a golf cart that can shuttle people back and forth. And so that'll be fun. The parking team people are going to be like riding out on that thing. That's something that we do want to eventually purchase is get a golf cart or a couple of them. And then even think about, do you need police? It depends on like who you're attracting, how many people you're attracting, something to think through. We always get a police officer on a day like Easter. One is it deters anything if there's anything crazy going to happen, but two is they actually are out in the parking lot after the service and they block off one of the lanes of the street. So our cars can just continually exit. Where normally where our church is at, there's 4 lanes in front of it. And if the traffic's coming, the cars can't get out. They have to wait. And then it backs up all the cars in the parking lot. So if you got a couple hundred cars that are trying to leave and there's traffic going by and they're able to go and then they're not and it can get kind of crazy. And so the police officer like blocks off a couple lanes. And so the traffic could still run on 2 lanes, but then 2 lanes are for us to just exit like a steady flow. So everybody's just out of there. The new crowd can get in, it flows. So you want to think about logistics as much as you can, whatever your context looks like. I know everybody's is a little bit different. And then let's talk about service times. Service times, y'all. If there was ever a day to add a service, Easter is the day. So again, adding a service, it doubles your capacity. If you're like, man, we can only seat 200 people. Well, if you add a service, you can have capacity for 400. And it's going to reach new demographics in your community. Now, I always say the sweet spot times in the urban context are anything with a 10, anything with an 11. That's why at our church we do 10 o'clock and 11:45. We don't do 12 because it's a little bit, people automatically think, oh, that's afternoon, right? But that 11 and that 10, anything in the nines is kind of early for a lot of urban people. So the 10 and 11:45 have been sweet spot times for us. 10 has been even a little bit bigger. So that's why we launched 8:30 now, and it moves some people out of 10. And now 10 and 11:45, some weeks are pretty even, pretty close. So, but we're reaching a new crowd at 8:30. We got some people that are just getting off of work and they come to 8:30 and then they go home and go to bed. We got some people that have to go to work at 11 o'clock and they couldn't come to the 10 o'clock, but they can come to the 8:30 because they're out by 9, a little after 9:30. They can get ready to go to work and boom. So when you do different service times, it's going to reach different people in your community that have different schedules. So it's just opening you up to reach different people, y'all. And Easter is a perfect time to test drive a new service time. For us, the last 2 years at Crossover on Easter, we did the 8:30 service. We didn't move the 10 or the 11:45 because we know those are sweet spot times and they're going well. We just added that 8:30. We encourage people at the 10 o'clock to move over to make room and make seats open for visitors and other people coming at 10. And it worked great. And what it did was it set up a lot of our people to be like, hey, when are we going to do that 8:30 service? I like the 8:30. I like coming early. When are we going to do that? And we had them asking and some people begging for it for a while because we didn't want to do it until we really needed to because it's a lot of work. It puts a lot of pressure on the volunteers and whoever's preaching and whoever's singing and doing worship and all that stuff. So by the time we did it 2 times already on the last 2 Easters and it went well and we had over 300 people come each time. We knew it was Easter, but we said, hey, we're going to launch it. And so we launched it in January this year. We are wrestling with adding a 4th service right now for Easter. And my executive pastor really, really wants to do it. He's trying to talk me into it. And I'm almost convinced, but I'm a little on the fence. Pray for me. I was ready to do it earlier today when we were talking, but then I'm like, so we might add a 4th service on Easter and we're going to leave all the other services the same, but we're going to add one at 1:30 potentially. That's what we might do because last year our largest service out of the three was our 11:45. That had the most people and the most kids in it. And so if we grow like the last couple of years, that service has grown by about 150 more people. If it grows 150 again this year, or even more than that, we're going to be overflowing. And so instead of being overflowing, if we add a 130, we can move some of those people over to 130 and also reach some people that might just come at 130. So I don't know. So pray for us on that. I ain't trying to do four services all the time, ever, ever. But for Easter, I'll pray about it. I'll think about it. But yeah, if there's ever a time to do it, Easter Sunday is a time to test drive it or launch it or launch it all the time. So salvation responses, what is that going to look like? What is that going to look like? You need to think about that. Are you going to have people raise their hand? Hopefully, you're going to share the gospel, give people an opportunity. You should. It's Easter, man. It's about the resurrection. To set that up for people to respond. Is that a hand raised? Is that, how are you gonna, is that an altar call? Is that, we've done it different ways. The last couple of years, what we've done is we have people that will raise their hands, say a prayer there, and then after that we say, hey, we would love to put a free book in your hand. We would love to, give you some information, and I'll hold the book up and say, if you just prayed that prayer, if you want to step out of the room, we want to celebrate and celebrate what God's doing in your life. So at that point, people stand up and walk down, and they walk out of the room, and people clap and go crazy. And the last couple of Easters, we've actually had over 100 people that have stood up out of their seats and walked out of the room. Old school, like altar call type of thing. And but it really tells us like who is serious about it, who really wants to make that decision. And then we get their information in that room, and we give them a devotional book and pray with them. And so, not saying you have to do it that way. It's just something that we've done the last few years that has worked. And then think about, you're going to have a prayer team available to pray with some people. Is there resources you could give people? What are the next steps at your church? So we give them a next steps book. And then they also are entered into a group that they get an email, they get a text message. There's some follow-up stuff inviting them to their next step, which would be going to our 3D growth track. That's our membership class, and to kind of help them spiritually grow. So think about that. Like, what are you looking for response wise, and how are you going to capture their information? That's really key, so you can follow up on them. And then, are you ready for first time guests? Because we're talking about, we want to invite all these people and do all this promo and all this, but like when guests get there, how are you going to show them love? How are you going to capture their information? So at Crossover, we have a first time guest area, which I didn't have a picture of it. So sorry, shout out to the Brook. I don't know who they are. But anyways, I found that picture online, and I'm like, oh, there's a good multi-ethnic couple. We'll grab that. The other ones were super suburban looking. This one is too. But anyways, it's a suburban multi-ethnic couple here. Um, but we have a big table in our lobby, where we have gift bags, and we hold that gift bag up. We're like, hey, all the first time guests that are here, we have a gift bag we'd love to put in your hand. It's got, Pastor Tommy's book in it, Rebuild. It's got some other goodies in it, some information on the church. There's some candy in there. We just want to bless you with one of these gift bags. And most people are like, oh, I want a gift bag. I want one of those. And so they go to the table, and we do have two ways that they can fill out a card. They can do it physically, but now lately we have shifted it, and we have these taps. And so on the back of all of our seat backs, we have these taps that we got installed recently. It's tap technology, and it takes them to our link tree. Our link tree has like 4 or 5 things on it. One is like they can connect to give. So when we do the offering, hey, tap the back of your seats and you can give that way. There's a link to give. First time guest, they can tap the back of their seat. They can fill the information out. It sends them a receipt. They show that at the gift thing, like, yeah, I filled my thing out, and then they get their gift back. Most people just go up to the guest thing, and we have these little tap like kiosks on the table. They just tap that. They fill it out on their phone. They show the person, yeah, I filled it out. Boom, they get their gift back, right? The tap also on there has like our registration page. It has an app download. I'll send you guys some information if you guys want information on it. We just got ours put on in November, right before Flavor Fest. The wonderful Jay Miranda that's on here, he did all of them. He was a beast. he did like hundreds in one day with like his screwdriver gun, and he still got a few more that got missed because we still need to buy some more screws. But we got to get those done before Easter, bro. So that's why he's on this call. I'm reminding him for that. But anyways, what we've seen since we added those taps, you might say, well, has there been any difference? There has. Our giving has went up since we've done that. I can't say all of it is attributed to that, but there definitely has. I'd say some of it is because we got more new givers than we had before during the last number of months, and it's just an easy way. Everybody taps everything now with their phone and with their card and stuff like that, and it's cool. People want to play with it and say, "Oh, how's this work?" And so there's been a lot more engagement, not just with giving, but with signups, with downloads of the app, with all kinds of stuff that whatever we put on there. We did a entrepreneur summit a few weeks ago, the innovation summit. Some of you guys might have saw that, and we didn't print brochures this time. Where all the workshops. We just put it on our link tree at the top of our link tree on the tap. So tap the back of your seats. All the workshops are listed there, and boom, it took them right to the page. So when we have Flavor Fest, the Flavor Fest workshops, boom, just tap the back of your seats. So it's super convenient. You can send it wherever you want. So I'll send you some information on that if you want to get that. But that's how we capture their information, and then we follow up. But first of all, let me say this: like, what's next? What's next? Easter happens. It's amazing. Super Bowl Sunday. You have the most people you had all year. But for most churches, Easter is the biggest Sunday. The Sunday after Easter is the smallest Sunday. And so you go from this big high to this super low. Like, man, we're amazing. God's so good. Man, we suck. Nobody came back. They really didn't like us. What's going on, right? What did you give them to come back to? Because it's, hey, come back next Sunday. We got church. Like, you want to give them something exciting to come back to. And so last year, this was our flyer that we gave out all before Easter. This was the flyer that we gave out all during Love Our City. We gave out like 10,000 of these flyers, and they were two-sided. And one side had Easter, the other side strategically had Sunday shortly after Easter. It was actually 2 Sundays after Easter this year. And we had Montel Jordan coming. He couldn't come the week after Easter. First, he was booked for it, and then he switched it on us. But we still did the Sunday after Easter. We still did water baptism, and we had Canton Jones, and we still had like a record attendance. So it was still huge because we advertised that on Easter, and then we also advertised Montel coming, and both Sundays were record-breaking Sundays. Our second largest Sunday of the year was Montel's Sunday. Our third largest Sunday was Back to Church Sunday. Our fourth largest Sunday this past year was the Sunday right after Easter when we had baptisms and we had Canton Jones there. So you want to strategically think like, what are you going to do the Sunday after Easter? You got to do something to draw people back. Maybe that's the Sunday you have free food and you don't do it on Easter. You do photos on Easter, but hey, next Sunday we got free food for everybody. It's going to be amazing. We got bounce houses next week. We're having a concert. We got so think about strategically. You got enough time to think about what could you do the Sunday after Easter. Here's the exciting thing about this year. Mother's Day is super close because Easter lands so late. So watch this. This year at Crossover, we're doing what I call it's a 4-stack, baby. It's a 4-stack. Look at this. Watch this schedule right here. Look at that. So 420, which some people think of 420 for other reasons. So we can joke around about that on Easter. I'm going to throw a joke in there. That's Easter Sunday, Resurrection Sunday. It's going to be smoking hot. No, I'm just playing. 427, that's the Sunday right after Easter. We're going to have a guest speaker. We're going to have Myron Golden. Some of y'all know who he is. If you don't, go look him up on YouTube. He is dropping like crazy knowledge and gems about business stuff from a biblical perspective. He just broke 1 million followers on YouTube. He's got millions of followers on other social media platforms. And I become friends with him. He's just been a blessing. And he's going to be speaking the Sunday after Easter. And a lot of people know who he is, especially locally. A lot of entrepreneurs and business people. That's going to draw people that didn't even come on Easter will come to hear Myron Golden. And so then the Sunday after that, the first Sunday of May, that's Baptism Sunday. And we're going to have a guest artist that day. Still working on exactly who that's going to be. We're going to confirm that in the next week or so. Got several options, but we're going to promote that as well. And a bunch of people are going to get baptized and they're going to bring their family. They're going to bring their friends. And so we're going to promote on Easter, like, hey, we got Myron Golden. We got baptism Sunday with this artist coming. And then, hey, you want to come back and bring your mom on the 11th? It's Mother's Day. And we got all this special stuff that we're going to do for moms. And so, like, take advantage of that. Being that Easter is so late, you could plan a couple of amazing things that lead right up to Mother's Day. So here's the thing. If you could get people to come back twice or three times or four times, they're locked in. We're creatures of habit. When people start, if to make that habit, when they're also in the Holy Spirit is really getting a hold of them, and they're starting to grow, and they're like, man, I need to be here regularly. I need to tap in. This needs to be my church. So think about what you can do those those Sundays after Easter, and then obviously do something special on Mother's Day as well, and do a bunch of follow up. Be all about follow up, for real, for real. Like, figure out how you can follow up. You got their information. Here's one thing. If you guys were my coaching before, you know what I do. I do a video text, a custom video text, to every person. I'm not going to do all of them on Easter. I'll get a few other people that are on the platform to help me, because we're probably going to have at least 80 to 100 first time families. That's a little bit too many for one person to do. But every week we normally have about 25 or 30 is our average. And whoever's preaching that weekend will go ahead and do a custom video text. And it's such a powerful tool. But text message, you text them as well. Email, maybe it's an old fashioned phone call as well. But we found that video text works really good. Follow up with them, and follow up depending on what their response was. Because if they started a relationship with Jesus, you might want to follow them up to whatever your next step is. That might be a class that you have. For us, it's a class. For us, it's also hey, we got water baptism coming up in 2 weeks. If you haven't been baptized, want to publicly declare that and display that. And so those are some key things that we are doing for Easter 2025. I'm going to open up the floor for questions in just a second, but I do want to share this at the very end. And some of you guys have been hearing me talk about this, but we have been praying about launching officially a church network. I know I've done some coaching before. Some of you guys have been a part of that, but officially launch a network, something that's ongoing, that you guys can be a part of all the time. I'm not going to be the only one that's going to be running it. There's going to be some other people that are going to be a part of it as well. But see, the bottom line is, guys, if you're on here, you're a pioneer. You're a pioneer. You're doing ministry in a different way. Many of you guys are urban. All of us on here are multi-ethnic. And there's not a lot of people around us that are doing exactly what we're doing. And sometimes we can feel alone. And that's a problem. That's an issue. You're not alone. And so when you come to Flavor Fest, all you guys pretty much have been there. We can feel like, oh man, this is our tribe. We're here with our people. This is amazing, man. Everybody here gets me. But it can't just be once a year. You can't be alone out on the island all that other time. That's an opportunity for us um, to fall. That's an opportunity for us to not thrive. That's an opportunity for us to be distracted, maybe for us to. And when we're in community and we're sharing and we're celebrating and we're sharing ideas with one another, we grow. We get pushed to do new things. Juan's getting pushed to do a second service because he's been hanging around some of us, and we're like, come on, Juan, you could do this. You got this, you know? And so we're pioneers, and so we need community. And so that's why we're starting the Urban Church Network. And tonight, you guys officially can jump in and be a part of it as the very first urban pioneers. This is kind of like the very first beginning launch of it. We're not opening it up publicly yet. We will in the next couple of months, but we want to start it with a smaller group and kick it off. And so what's gonna, if you become part of it, what do you get? Here it is. Here's my pitch deck, right? Here's the one page I just want to share really quick. Monthly, we'll do a Zoom call like this. And monthly, there will be more information like this. Sometimes it'll be from myself, sometimes from some of the other leaders that are going to be on the call. Sometimes we'll bring guests in, but every month you'll be learning systems, you'll be learning strategies, you'll be encouraged to grow as a pastor, to grow as a leader, to grow as someone that's an entrepreneur as well. All those things. Every month there will be community, there will be support through it. You're not alone. Our website, you'll have access to this vault. It's got all these ministry resources on it. You can go to the website and check that out. I'm going to send a link to everybody. You will get 2 registrations for Flavor Fest, which right now at the early bird price, that's a $250 value, because tickets are $125, and they're going to go all the way up to 155 or 165 this year, because they're going to go up incrementally every quarter. So you get 2 free registrations for yourself and your spouse, or yourself and another key leader. You'll get 20% off for anybody else from your team that you want to bring to Flavor Fest. We'll have a private dinner at Flavor Fest. It won't be a lunch. We're gonna have a dinner at Flavor Fest this year, and moving forward for the Urban Church Network team. There'll be other partnership opportunities and discounts from different people that we're working with for different things that you guys can use at your church that we're using at ours. And then we're also going to do an annual pastors retreat. We did one last year. Some of you guys were able to come to that, but that'll be something that'll be offered every year. There won't be any cost to that, minus you getting there. So everything else will be taken care of. We're going to raise money to take care of that, to help you guys get refreshed and refueled. So that's different than Flavor Fest. This will be like a smaller group, and no concert at it or anything. Just a time for us to get away for a few days and just retreat and get refueled and refueled and refilled. And so yeah, so that's some of the stuff that we're going to be offering. There's a small monthly fee for it. It's going to go up once we open it to the general public. I'm going to send you guys the link, but all that is just $49 a month. Your church can take care of that easily. For all the stuff you're going to get, it's literally like annually, it's like thousands of dollars worth of stuff. We're not making any money off of this. We're just trying to cover our costs for the website, the server, the graphic designer, all those things. But we're doing it as a labor of love because we want to see you guys thrive. We want to see you guys have longevity. And then another big thing of the network is as we grow, we want to plant churches together. We want to plant churches that are urban, that are multi-ethnic, that are diverse, that are like us, because there needs to be more churches like ours in every city. And so we can't just keep saying, oh, there needs to be more. Somebody needs to do it. Well, we're going to do it. We're going to do it together. And as we raise people up, and we'll have a process for that as we partner with some church planting organizations as well. And again, a lot of those things are in the shaping and molding behind the scenes. And we've been praying about this and working on it for a while, but super excited about what God is going to do. And so if you guys have any questions tonight, if you got any questions about the Zoom tonight or about the Urban Church Network, we'll open up the floor